Hi guys, I'm on holiday in St David's at the moment, but this holiday is not all about relaxation, which is relaxation in French, if you know French. I'm actually here on a site visit for one of the next projects, and that is going to be the Porthgain Railway. I'm currently at the top, if you can hear my heavy breathing, I'm at the top of a hill. But just behind me is what I think is the engine shed by the look of it. Now I'm carrying with me my copy of the Book of the Railways of Porthgain to try and sort of spec out what this railway is going to look like. Now it's actually a commission build, so I'm building this layout for someone else, so at the end of it it will be going to them. I took it on just because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for my next project, and I thought this would be a really quite different, because quite instantly you can see just how barren it is up here. There's not much going on, just like well, there's ferns now, but I'm assuming the landscape hasn't changed that much up here. As I say, I've just come up to the engine shed, so by the looks of the drawing, well, the drawing of the track plan in the book, and also the only photo you've got of it with an engine inside, this here was the main engine shed. Now next to it here you can see there's a little bit of wall here. This side was actually another section with track going into it. Now I don't know if that means that there was actually two roads to this engine shed, and to be fair, it's quite perished now. I know that the water tank sat up here, so that looks okay. But coming round to the other side, you can see the classic point of the roof there. So you can imagine when that was, oh, hang on, my right arm's the other way. There we go. Like, you know, up there is the point. Now that's flat because that's got the water tower. But also, coming around this side, that also looks like, well, the photos I've got when this wall was still erected, it looked like it was flat. So I'm not sure what that means for the roof of the second road. So luckily, I don't think anyone can really tell me I'm too wrong when I get, oh look, hang on, I found quarry. Now that's quite striking actually, because if you see where the engine shed is, and just here is the drop to one of the quarries. Now I've got the track bed with me, the track plan, so I'm going to follow it down and see how far I can get. I also need to draw these buildings up when I'm in here, because there's a couple. There's one down there which is like a little shed of some sort. I need to look into that one. But the idea for, actually you walk with me and I'll talk about it. The idea for this layout is it's going to run as an end-to-end layout, okay? And I've drawn a couple of plans up and sent to the customer, but it's going to change after this visit, I think. So there's a couple of main parts. I know the original plan, they wanted to buy corrish, and they then wanted me to build a layout that was like corrish. It quite quickly became apparent that I can't build this thing to look like a corrish style, because it's not going to work as a loop, and it's not going to work with a hillside in the middle of it, because it's quite flat when you're at the top of these hills. So I said we'll do it as an end-to-end. The main points of interest I want are the quarry at one end, the engine shed sort of middle, and then on probably the right hand side now will be the crushers, which I think I'm walking to now based on how I got up here with all the panting and all the steps. It's quite steppy. So the crushers, I'm not going to plan this layout that you can see the crushers right down to the floor. It's only going to be the top of them to give the idea, and then the rest, like I say, even here is still so flat when you're at the top of this ledge. So I think I'll go round. We'll have a look at some of the buildings. I think the engine shed in reality is the only one I want, because I want this thing to look quite barren. And then we'll have a look at some planning. So come with me. I thought I'd show you this bit. Now, this isn't actually going to be on the layout, but this is what I believe they call Jerusalem Road. So you can see there's actually a cut-in all the way down here, and this is going to one of the quarries. So I'm hoping that's what we find at the end of here. This is also quite nice walking along here, because if you can just about make them out, let's walk. Every so often you get a glimpse of one of the sleepers, which is quite exciting because they're still there just about. Not quite, there's one. Not quite rotted away yet. But God, what a stunning place to have a railway. Really incredible. Right, so we're approaching the top of the Pengleger quarry. Now I've come up to these buildings, but I'm looking on my map here. This is the one we're following with the cut in there. And it doesn't actually say what these buildings are for. I'm sure I've read it in the book somewhere, but the mind is like a sieve these days. Ah, there we go. That looks quarry-ish, doesn't it? Right, that's good, because that's actually the style of the quarry that I want to do. Now, the railway on the model is, I'm hoping to put a little runaround loop. If not, it'll just be maybe like a little ingle nook heading into a quarry that's got a rock face around it and nothing else really. So that works wonders for our layout. That's good to see. So as I'm coming back down the steps down towards the harbour, we're starting to get a really nice view of these crushers. And it's a hell of a feat, really, isn't it? Maybe it's not coming out on camera just how large these things are. Sorry, I'm just on someone's roof at the moment. There we are, see, we can come down to the harbour now. I've got a good friend, which you have seen on the channel. I did a live stream with James Hilton. I'm sure you've heard his name. But this is his, I think, his favourite place in the world, and I can see why. It is stunning. To think that there was a railway just running across the top of these cliffs here is just remarkable, really. And the amount of rabbit poo. Okay, so I'm coming onto the harbour here, and that's probably all I need to see for today. Like I said, when I start to build this infrastructure, it's only going to be the top, maybe third or quarter or something, just to give the idea that it's dropping down onto the cliff edge. I don't think there's any need to build it all the way down. That would be impressive, but not realistic for the scale of the layout that I've got. And remember, this isn't going to be a prototypical layout, so please don't ask me, like, is it 3 foot? No, it's not. It's 009, because that's what we've got to deal with. In fact, we have the engine, so you'll see that whenever the next video comes out. I believe this was dual gauge, wasn't it? Didn't someone say it's dual gauge along here? I think the book did. So yeah, we've got an engine. I've got an idea of how I'm going to build this, and in the style of corrish was a best of the Corris railway. This is going to be a very similar thing for the Porthgain railway. So we'll see how we do. Right, if we pop back now and have a little play with some drawings and see what we can come up with.
Okay, so I am back from South Wales and back in Mid Wales. I've had a little bit of time to think about this and look at my photos and think about what I've seen, and I've come up with a plan for it. This went through a couple of revisions, but this is the one I think I'm going to go with. So basically, we've got the on the right hand side, there's going to be the quarry, and this is the I'll try and put pictures up on the screen if I can remember to do this, but this is like the quarry when you come over around Jerusalem Road, that they call it up here. It's going through cutting, and then it's cut into the side of the hill, but you've got the ocean or sea next to it. So it's quite a nice division there between the land and the sea, with the quarry right in the middle. I quite like the idea of modelling that, because I haven't done that. The important bit here, though, is whilst it is going to be an actual end-to-end layout, I've cut this bit off as an ingle nook, because that's, if you don't know, the ingle nook is a shunting puzzle. It's quite a famous shunting puzzle with 2 points, 3 sidings. And it means that if you don't want to just be going up and down as a relatively boring plan, but based on the real thing, you can actually use this as an interesting piece to play around with. So I thought it was quite important to do that. Coming up here now, the land will be fairly flat at this point, and you've got the weighbridge there with the weighbridge house and the weighbridge. Coming up past here is going to be the engine shed. I'm still debating how to build this because this second road here, I can't work out if it actually had a roof on or not, and I'm still investigating that, so I need to clarify that. When I took photos up there, there was a big quarry behind the engine shed, and again I'm still debating whether to put that in or not, because apart from that it's going to be quite barren, although to be fair it was up there, so I think that's probably a characteristic I need to capture. Then the line will wrap round and eventually get over here, which is going to be the hoppers down onto the side with the nice brick walls and things like that. I need to keep gathering information on how that looked because it's quite rough in photos to work out what I'm looking at. The line here, that actual line, is separating like the flat from the bank there, so that will be a sudden drop coming down. So that should finish that off quite nicely. Yeah, apart from, I'm going to try and get the sea coming in here and this bit here, this is all going to be relatively flat. But it's cool. It's going to be very, very different to Llangwernal and Corris in that the topography itself, whilst I'm going to be building it in the same manner, it's going to look very different. I've got the book here again, and just to show you a couple of photos in here which I think are quite nice. The first ones are, I was looking at the other night, here. So here we go. So here is the railway at the top of the hill here. So I walked all the way up the side here. Here's the railway. You can see the wagons here. This is like this big hopper system, and the layout will cut off about here, so you'll get this in with these big mounds of gravel and things like that. No boats on it. The engine, we've got the engine. I'll show that in more detail next time. This is the better piece of evidence of the engine shed. You can see the engine shed itself, and then this second part here, this has got windows, so I'm assuming this might have had a roof. And then there's the water tower beyond that, and I've measured all that up on site so I can give that one a go. There's a nice picture here of, this is the line coming along here, and then there's obviously the hoppers there. So that's quite good. And here is this is quite good because this shows how barren it is and how flat at the top of the cliff. So I do need to try and get a bit of cliff edge on there. But this is that quarry here, so you can see how it's just chipping into the cliff here, so the railway's coming down, so this bit will be modelled, which I'm not really sure how, because I'm not going to make the railway on a gradient. So I wonder if I could. I might look into how much of a gradient I can add, because if I can put a very gentle slice into that. And the layout itself, as you'll see next week, is quite long and thin. So I should be able to get this impression of a very long gradual drop there. The line itself was very straight, so I want to try and capture that, as opposed to, oh, there's a good picture of the hoppers there then, down here. But again, like a photo like that, it doesn't exactly help when you're trying to build the thing like it was. So there we go. Anyway, that's probably about it for this week. So I will crack on and start building those baseboards, and why not show you how to actually build the baseboards themselves, because you've seen that over and over again. But I will show you how I add the brackets and things like that on, because people keep asking about that on the others, and I don't know how much I filmed. So I go now, get my woodwork out, and crack on with that, and I'll see you then. Oi, cheers.